All right, buckle up, everybody, because today we are going deep on intermittent fasting.
Yeah, it's certainly a hot topic right now
It is. It really is.
in the wellness world.
And we've got a whole stack of research and articles here.
Yeah,
We're going to break it all down for you.
absolutely.
What it is, how it works,
Yep.
the benefits, the risks, whether it might be something you want to consider.
For sure.
So let's just start with the basics.
Okay.
What exactly is intermittent fasting?
So I think the key takeaway here is intermittent fasting, or IIF, as you might hear it called. It isn't really a diet in the traditional sense.
Okay.
It's more about when you eat, not what you eat.
Okay.
So it's a pattern of cycling between periods of eating and voluntary fasting.
So less about cutting out specific foods, more about kind of like scheduling your meals in a specific way.
Precisely.
Okay.
During the fasting window, you abstain from food.
Okay.
But you can have calorie-free drinks like water, black coffee, and tea.
Makes sense. And it's interesting to think about how, humans have evolved to function without food for extended periods, right?
Yeah.
Our ancestors didn't have constant access to food like we do today.
That's a great point.
Right.
Fasting is kind of woven into our evolutionary history,
Yeah.
and we see it in various historical and religious practices as well.
Yeah.
So the concept itself isn't new.
Right.
What's really fascinating is how we're now starting to understand the potential physiological benefits
Right.
of this, ancient practice.
Okay. So we've established that it's not some new fad diet,
Right.
but how do you actually do it? Like,
Yeah.
what are some of the popular methods out there?
Sure, there are quite a few variations,
Yep.
and some of the most popular ones include
Correct.
the 168 method, also known as the Lean Gains Protocol,
Okay.
Eat, Stop, Eat, and the 5.2 diet.
Okay. And I feel like the 168 is the one I hear about the most.
Yeah,
How does that one work?
that one's pretty straightforward. So with a 168, you have an 8-hour eating window,
Okay.
and you fast for the remaining 16 hours of the day.
Okay.
So many people find this manageable by simply skipping breakfast or having an early dinner.
Yeah, that sounds pretty doable.
Yeah.
What about eat, stop, eat, and 5.2?
Yeah, those are a little more intense.
Yeah.
Eat, Stop, Eat involves a full 24-hour fast once or twice a week.
Okay.
And the 5.2 diet involves eating normally for 5 days
Okay.
and then restricting calories to 500, 600 for 2 non-consecutive days.
Okay.
So these methods are generally considered more advanced.
Correct.
So it's important to proceed with caution.
Yeah.
Consult with your doctor, especially if you have any underlying health condition.
Right. Right. It's amazing how many different approaches there are.
Yeah.
But why does any of this work?
Yeah.
What's going on in our bodies when we fast?
Yeah, that's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Fasting triggers a cascade of changes at the cellular level.
Okay.
Think of it as like flipping a metabolic switch.
Oh, okay. I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this metabolic switch.
So one of the key changes is an increase in human growth hormone,
Okay.
or HGH.
Okay.
And this hormone plays a role in fat loss and muscle growth.
So by fasting, we could potentially boost our body's ability to burn fat and build muscle.
Yeah, pretty impressive.
Pretty impressive.
And along with the increase in HGH, you also see improvements in insulin sensitivity and a decrease in insulin levels.
Okay.
And lower insulin levels mean your body can access stored fat more easily.
Okay.
So you're kind of becoming a more efficient fat-burning machine.
Wow, that's quite a transformation.
It is.
Are there any other cellular changes happening during fasting?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Fasting also seems to kickstart a process called autophagy.
Okay.
And this is essentially a cellular cleaning process
Okay.
where your body gets rid of old or dysfunctional proteins that build up in cells.
Okay.
Think of it as like a spring cleaning for your cells.
So not just about weight loss, but also about giving our bodies a chance to kind of clear out that cellular debris and potentially improve overall health.
Exactly. And it gets even more fascinating.
Okay.
Research suggests that fasting might influence genes
Okay.
related to longevity and disease prevention.
What, you're telling me that changing when I eat could potentially impact how long I live and how healthy I stay?
That's what the research is suggesting.
That's incredible.
That a rapidly evolving area of research.
Yeah.
But the early findings are definitely intriguing.
Wow.
It seems that giving our bodies a break from constant digestion
Yeah.
allows them to focus on other crucial processes,
Right.
like cellular repair
Yeah.
and this genetic fine-tuning.
Okay, so we've covered kind of the basics of what it is.
Yeah.
The different approaches. We've even touched on some pretty amazing potential benefits at the cellular level.
For sure.
But let's be real, a lot of people are interested in this because they've heard it can help with weight loss.
Yeah, for sure.
Is there any truth to that?
It's certainly true that IF is a popular weight loss strategy.
Okay.
And there's research to support its effectiveness.
Okay.
So by shortening your eating window,
Right.
you naturally tend to reduce your overall calorie intake.
But it's not a free pass to eat whatever you want during your eating window, right?
Definitely not.
Okay.
You still need to make healthy food choices.
Right.
Be mindful of your portion sizes.
It's not magic.
It's not magic.
It's about creating a calorie deficit over time.
Exactly. It's about making sustainable lifestyle changes,
Yeah,
not just looking for a quick fix.
exactly. Exactly. And so while weight loss is often that initial draw, what's really exciting is that IF may offer benefits that go far beyond just shedding pounds.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, spill the beans. What else can IF do?
Well, for one, research suggests that IF might help reduce insulin resistance,
Okay,
which is a major risk factor for developing type 2 diabetes.
that's huge.
Yeah,
So by incorporating IF, we could potentially lower our risk of developing a serious chronic illness?
the research is promising, and it doesn't stop there.
Okay.
Studies also indicate that IF might reduce inflammation markers, which are linked to many chronic diseases,
Okay.
from heart disease to cancer.
So it's not just about weight loss. It's about potentially improving our overall health and well-being.
Exactly. And there's even research in rats
Okay.
suggesting that fasting may increase BDNF,
Okay.
which is a brain hormone that's important for learning and memory,
Wow.
and even support the growth of new brain cells.
Wait, so IF could be good for our brains too.
Yeah,
This is fascinating.
it is.
But it's important to remember that a lot of this research is still in its early stages.
Yes, very much so.
We need more studies.
We need more studies.
to get a complete picture
Absolutely.
of all the potential benefits and risks.
Yeah,
Right? We always want to approach these things with a healthy dose of skepticism
for sure.
and do our research.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, are there any potential downsides or risks associated with IF that we should be aware of?
Absolutely. IF isn't for everyone.
Right.
It's crucial to consult with your doctor before starting, especially if you have any underlying medical conditions.
Okay.
People who are underweight or have a history of eating disorders
Yeah.
should definitely avoid IF without medical supervision.
That's a really good point. And what about women specifically? Are
Yeah.
there any special considerations for them?
There are, so some women report menstrual cycle disruptions when they practice IF.
Okay.
It seems that fasting can potentially disrupt female hormones,
Okay.
and more research is needed to fully understand this impact.
Right.
So women considering IF should proceed with caution
Yeah.
and consult with their doctor to see if it aligns with their individual health goals
Yeah.
and circumstances.
It's so important to emphasize that, IF, like any dietary change, should be approached with careful consideration
Yes.
and personalized guidance from a healthcare professional.
Absolutely.
So even if it sounds appealing,
Right.
it's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
Definitely not.
Right. So speaking of finding what works, what are some of the common side effects people experience when they first start IF? Anything we should be prepared for?
Well, hunger is probably the most obvious one.
Yeah, I was going to say.
You're intentionally going without food for extended periods,
Right.
so it's natural to feel hungry.
Right.
You might also feel weak or experience some temporary brain fog as your body adjusts.
Okay.
But these tend to subside as you adapt to the new eating pattern.
So it's kind of like starting a new workout routine.
Yeah.
You might be sore at first,
Right.
but your body gets stronger over time.
That's a good analogy.
Okay.
But again, it's essential to talk to your doctor before starting IF, especially if you have any pre-existing conditions like diabetes, blood sugar regulation issues, low blood pressure, or if you take medications.
And I'm guessing pregnant or nursing women should definitely check with their doctor first.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here for those who are intrigued and want to dip their toes into the world of IF. Where's a good place to start?
Well, you might be surprised to learn that you've probably already fasted without realizing it.
Okay.
Think about those times you skip breakfast. You've likely fasted for over 16 hours.
That's true.
It's not as foreign a concept as it might seem.
Right. Right.
Exactly. And for many people, the 168 method is a good starting point.
Okay.
It's relatively simple to implement.
Yeah.
Can be quite sustainable.
So maybe start with 168, see how your body responds,
Yeah.
and then potentially experiment with other methods down the road.
Precisely. Listen to your body,
Yeah.
experiment, and find what works best for you.
Right.
There's no need for rigid plans.
Yeah.
Even skipping meals occasionally when you're genuinely not hungry can provide some benefits.
This has been super informative,
Yeah.
but we've only just scratched the surface of intermittent fasting.
For sure.
So in part 2, we'll dive deeper into the scientific research. We'll address some frequently asked questions.
Sound good.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back to our deep dive into intermittent fasting.
All right, let's jump right back in to this fascinating world of IF. In part 1, we talked about how fasting triggers all sorts of changes at the cellular level.
Right.
Can we dig a little deeper into the science behind those changes?
Sure.
What's actually going on in our bodies?
Yeah, so remember how we talked about how HGH increases
Right.
and insulin levels decrease during fasting?
Yes.
Well, research suggests that those hormonal shifts
Okay.
can actually lead to a temporary increase in your metabolic rate.
So fasting could give our metabolism a boost.
That's what the research is indicating.
Does that mean we burn more calories even when we're not actively eating?
That's what it seems to indicate.
Okay.
It's likely due to the interplay of hormones like HGH
Okay.
and norepinephrine.
Okay.
And norepinephrine is a hormone and neurotransmitter that plays a role in the body's fight or flight response.
Okay.
And one of its effects is to increase the metabolic rate.
Interesting. So our bodies are essentially kind of shifting into like a higher gear when we fast.
Exactly. And don't forget about autophagy.
Right.
That cellular cleaning process we discussed.
Yeah.
Studies suggest that this process might be enhanced during fasting,
Okay.
allowing our bodies to more efficiently clear out damaged cells.
So it's like giving ourselves a chance to detox and renew themselves?
Yeah, you could think of it that way.
Okay.
And then there's the impact on gene expression, which is pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
Research is showing that fasting can influence genes related to longevity and disease prevention.
So we're talking about potentially slowing down the aging process and reducing our risk of developing certain diseases just by changing when we eat.
Yeah.
It's kind of mind-blowing.
It is quite fascinating.
Yeah.
It seems that giving our bodies a break from constant digestion allows them to allocate resources towards other important tasks like cellular repair and maintenance.
This is all incredibly interesting.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people probably have specific questions about how to actually incorporate IF into their lives.
Yeah, for sure.
Would you be up for tackling some of those common questions?
Absolutely. Fire away.
Okay, here's one I've heard a lot.
Okay.
Can I drink liquids during the fast?
Oh, yeah.
What's the verdict?
Yeah, staying hydrated is absolutely essential.
Right.
Especially when you're fasting.
Okay.
So, yes, water is definitely allowed
Yeah.
and encouraged.
Okay.
You can also have other calorie-free drinks like black coffee, unsweetened tea,
Okay.
and herbal teas.
What about coffee with a splash of milk or cream?
That's a good question.
Does that break the fast?
So adding anything that contains calories, even a small amount,
Okay.
will technically break the fast.
Okay.
The goal is to keep your insulin levels low
Okay.
during the fasting window.
Okay.
And even a small amount of calories can trigger an insulin response.
So if you're serious about reaping the benefits,
Yeah.
it's best to stick to strictly calorie-free beverages
Yes.
during your fasting period.
Exactly. Now, here's another question that comes up frequently.
Okay.
Isn't it unhealthy to skip breakfast?
Yes.
There's this long-standing belief
Oh my gosh.
that breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
Right. I grew up hearing that all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a common misconception.
Okay.
Skipping breakfast in the context of IF is not inherently unhealthy.
Okay.
What matters most is the overall quality and balance of your diet.
Got it.
So if you're fueling your body with nutritious foods during your eating window,
Right.
then skipping breakfast isn't going to harm you.
It's all about the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Making sure you're getting the nutrients you need,
Exactly.
regardless of when you eat.
Exactly.
Now, here's another one.
Okay.
Can I take supplements while fasting?
Good question.
A lot of people take daily vitamins
Yeah.
or other supplements.
Sure,
So
sure.
it's a natural question.
Most supplements are perfectly fine to take during a fast.
Okay.
However, some supplements, like fat-soluble vitamins, A, D, E, and K,
Okay.
are better absorbed when taken with a meal that contains fat.
Okay, so it might be best to take those types of supplements
Right.
during your eating window.
That's generally a good approach.
Okay.
And as always, it's wise to talk to your doctor or a registered dietitian about your individual supplement regimen,
Sure.
especially if you have any concerns.
Great advice. Now, I know a lot of our listeners are fitness enthusiasts.
Yeah.
So this next question is for them.
Okay.
Can I work out while fasted?
Sure.
Is it okay to hit the gym on an empty stomach?
Yes, fasted workouts are fine for many people,
Okay.
and some even prefer it.
Okay.
However, you might find that you have a bit less energy or strength than usual,
Okay.
especially if you're doing a high-intensity workout.
So it might be best to adjust your workout intensity.
Right.
Or choose a less strenuous activity
Exactly.
if you're working out in a fasted state.
Listen to your body.
Right.
Don't push yourself too hard.
Yeah.
And make sure you're staying hydrated.
And what about muscle loss?
Yeah.
Is there a risk of losing muscle mass
Yeah.
while doing IF?
Yeah.
I know that's a concern for a lot of people, especially those who work hard to build and maintain their muscles.
It's a valid concern.
Yeah.
Any weight loss method, including IF,
Right.
has the potential to lead to some muscle loss.
Okay.
The key is to make sure you're consuming enough protein
Okay.
during your eating window.
Right.
Protein is essential for muscle repair and growth.
So if you're incorporating IF
Yeah.
and you're concerned about preserving muscle mass,
Right.
make sure you're getting plenty of protein in your diet.
Exactly. And incorporating strength training exercises
Right.
into your routine
Mhm.
is also crucial
Okay.
for maintaining muscle mass.
It sounds like with IF, it's all about finding that balance
Yeah.
between giving our bodies a break from constant eating
Right.
and making sure they're getting the nutrients they need to function optimally.
You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
It's about working with our bodies,
Right.
not against them.
Right.
It's about making choices that support our overall health and well-being.
This has been a really enlightening deep dive
Yeah.
into the science behind IF and
Mhm.
some of the practical considerations.
Sure.
But we're not done yet.
Right.
In part 3, we'll delve into the nuances of IF for women.
Okay.
We'll discuss how to get started safely
Great.
and leave you with some final food for thought.
Sounds good.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into intermittent fasting.
We've covered a lot,
We have.
but there's one more important area we need to explore a little bit deeper.
Okay.
The nuances of IF for women.
Yes, women's bodies are incredibly complex,
They are?
and hormonal fluctuations can have a big impact on how they respond to dietary changes like IF.
For sure.
We touched on this earlier, but it's worth emphasizing that some women experience menstrual cycle disruptions when they practice IF.
Right.
What's the connection there? So it seems that fasting can influence hormones like estrogen and progesterone,
Okay.
which play a key role in regulating the menstrual cycle.
Right.
So for some women, IF can lead to irregular periods or other changes.
So if a woman notices any changes in her cycle after trying IF, it's a sign to stop and talk to her doctor.
Absolutely. It's always best to err on the side of caution when it comes to hormonal health.
Right.
And it's a good reminder that what works for one person may not work for another.
Right.
There's no one-size-fits-all approach to IF, especially for women.
Now, while some women may experience challenges with IF, others find it beneficial.
Yeah.
For example, some research suggests that IF might be helpful for women with PCOS.
That's right. Polycystic ovary syndrome, or PCOS, is a hormonal disorder that can cause irregular periods, acne, and excess hair growth.
Right.
Some studies have shown that IF can help regulate insulin levels and reduce androgen production,
Okay.
which can be beneficial for women with PCOS.
So it's a mixed bag
Yeah.
with potential benefits and risks for women.
Right.
The key takeaway is that it's highly individual,
Yes.
and it's crucial to work closely with a healthcare provider to figure out if I is a good fit.
I couldn't agree more.
All right, so let's say someone is listening to this and thinking, IF sounds intriguing, I want to give it a try.
Yeah.
What advice would you give them about getting started safely?
Well, as we've discussed, the 168 method is often a good starting point.
Okay.
It's relatively simple to implement,
Yeah.
and it doesn't require drastic changes to your eating habits.
You could start by gradually pushing back breakfast
Right.
or having an earlier dinner
Right.
to create that 16-hour fasting window.
Ease into it.
Yeah.
Pay attention to how your body responds.
Right.
Remember, you don't have to jump into a strict schedule right away.
Right.
Even skipping meals occasionally when you're genuinely not hungry can be a way to dip your toes into the world of IF.
And above all, talk to your doctor before making any major dietary changes,
Yes.
especially if you have any underlying health conditions.
Absolutely. It's always best to get personalized guidance from a healthcare professional.
As we wrap up this fascinating deep dive into intermittent fasting, is there a final thought you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Yeah, one of the things I find most interesting about IIF is that it's not just a physical practice.
Okay.
It can also impact our relationship with food.
Oh, interesting.
It encourages us to become more mindful of our eating patterns,
Right.
to tune in to our body's natural hunger and fullness cues.
That's such an important point.
Yeah.
It's not about deprivation
Right.
or strict rules.
It's not about that.
It's about developing a deeper understanding of our bodies.
Exactly.
And making choices that support our overall well-being.
I think that's something worth reflecting on as you consider whether IF is something you want to explore further.
This has been an incredible journey into the world of intermittent fasting.
It has.
We've covered so much.
A lot of information.
The science, the methods,
Yeah.
the benefits, the risks, the importance of personalized guidance. We hope you feel empowered to make informed decisions about your health.
Absolutely.
And remember, this is just the beginning of your exploration.
That's right.
There's a wealth of information out there.
There is.
We encourage you to continue researching, talking to your healthcare provider, and most importantly, listening to your body.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been fun.
We'll see you next time for another adventure in the world of health and wellness.